Madden Draft Champions used to be awesome, so today I've added it into NCAA Football, and I'm shooting for a 90 overall team. However, our base roster is Northwestern's 75 overall one, and this starting offense is not good, while this defense would get shredded in the Big Ten. Once I get through the 20 draft rounds, I'll be simming to the end of the regular season where we hopefully make the 12-team playoff, and if we go on to win a national championship, that means I've beaten draft champions, but if we fall short of winning it all, I have to give away a jersey to a random commenter, and it is time to start round 1. Also, I had a friend put this together for me, so I have no idea what to expect, but that's a coach. Luke Fickell has 2 of the playbooks I really like, so I'd say that's a good start, but we also have Mac Brown available to us and Dabo Swinney. At a level 47 in-game, Dabo is the best head coach, but Mac Brown isn't that far behind him, and I really like the playbooks that Luke Fickell has, so even though he's only a level 33, I think I have to get him. I'm pretty sure round 20 will also feature more head coaches, so I've made my pick for round 1, and this next one should feature some players, with Troy Franklin being the first one. We're gonna have to see what our other options are, like Eric All Jr., but the Iowa tight end only has 63 speed, and in real life we've seen Troy Franklin make some amazing plays, so unless this last player is even better, I'm probably gonna go with him, and we have Mario Williams available. I am gonna compare the two, but I think Troy Franklin's gonna have better stats, and they're about the same speed, but he has 87 catching versus Mario Williams 82. That gives him the slight edge, so he's gonna be my selection, and he's an amazing first player for us to add to this offense, but maybe round 3 will bring us even more luck, and the first player is Bear Alexander. The 300-pound defensive tackle is an 85 overall, so I'm gonna assume that this is a defense round, and I'm seeing Kamen Rucker from North Carolina, but for some reason he is only an 85 in NCAA football as well, so the guys that made this roster definitely are underrating him, and our last player is another defensive lineman. Because he plays for Virginia, I've never heard of him before, but of these 3 players, he is the highest overall, and at least for now, I think I'm just gonna select the best available. He's the first guy that I'm gonna add to this atrocious defense. Alright, we are on to round 4, and I'm seeing somebody from Kentucky, so it's gonna be hard to not go with JJ Weaver, who plays for my favorite team, but who knows, one of the other 2 players could be better, and Markel Reed from Boise State isn't bad. One of our starting cornerbacks is a 70, so we definitely need some, and I'll have to think about it, but for the 3rd spot, we are gonna get Aaron Casey from Indiana, and at an 89 overall, this guy would be a very fun user. As for the corner from Boise State, he only has 86 speed, so for now, I am gonna pass on him, but we have to decide between JJ Weaver, who has 78 speed, and Aaron Casey, who has 83, and I would absolutely love to have somebody from Kentucky, but he's a bit slower, and he's not the best player available, so we've added another player to this defense with the first name of Aaron, and I hope my friend put some other Kentucky players in here. I feel like we're flying through this as we're already at round 5, and we should probably start getting more skill positions with guys like Carson Beck. That was perfect timing, but we'll see what else we have in here, and we have Trevor Etienne, so those 2 options are decent, but they're low overalls, and Blake Fisher's a 91. He would be the highest overall player that we've gotten yet, and I'm shooting for a team that's over a 90 overall, so I might have to go with him, but what if we never get another quarterback? I know there's still plenty of time left, but I don't want to start Ben Bryant, and Carson Beck has a pretty strong arm on him. Our last option is Trevor Etienne, but he has 85 speed, so if I'm gonna eliminate anybody, it's him, and I've also decided that I'm just gonna hope we get a quarterback in a later round, because having somebody like Blake Fisher on our offensive line is huge. If you hadn't already noticed, most of the starters there are pretty bad, so I just see that as an investment for our future quarterback, and look at Anthony Goodlow. He's got quite the goatee going on, and our next player is from Iowa's defense, so I might have to take Deontay Craig because he's an 87 overall, while Anthony Goodlow is only an 84, but I have to remember there's still one more spot remaining, and it is Chop Robinson. He just made this the easiest pick ever, because his overall blows these other 2 dudes out of the water, and he might be the best player we get in this entire draft. I'm so excited that he's a part of this defense now, and our front 3 is starting to look very scary, but we still need to get at least one more player up there, and it's more defense for this round. Keaton Oladipo is really repping Oregon State, but even though the strong safety is an 89 overall, he only has 77 speed, so if these other 2 players are good, I might have to take them, and Jalen Phillips isn't bad. He's an 86 overall senior with decent coverage, but I'm not a big fan of either of those picks, and is Craig Woodson related to Rod Woodson? If so, I've got to add him, but he's also the fastest player of these 3, and I'm not saying speed is everything, but Keaton Oladipo is going to have to go. Apparently Craig Woodson isn't related to Rod Woodson in any way, but he's still better than Jalen Phillips, so I'm going to pick him, and we keep getting defensive rounds, which is really helping us out, but we've only added 2 players to our offense, with one of them being a right tackle, so I'm hoping for a bit more in round 8, and that is a rough start. Not that Nick Jones isn't a good player, but I don't really want him, so hopefully this round isn't just offensive linemen, but it looks like it might be. Now Marcus Bryant is much better, especially since he's 6'8", so if we're forced to pick a lineman, it won't be the end of the world, and Renato Brown makes this interesting. He's an 86 overall, but he plays for my favorite team's biggest rival, so there's no way that I'm choosing the Cardinal over Marcus Bryant, and Nick Jones should have been eliminated from this a long time ago. Well, if we ever get a quarterback, he's going to be well protected on his edges, but we're almost halfway through and we still haven't gotten one, so that's a bit concerning. And it seems like this round is just going to be defense as we get another linebacker, so I'll unveil the final spot, and it's Kari Coleman. This one's going to be a tough decision, so I might base it on speed. And since Chris Braswell has 74, I don't want him at middle linebacker. So now we'll look at Jalen Harrell, who also has 74 speed. And I just have to hope that Kari Coleman is a little bit quicker. It looks like he is 83. So even if his other stats aren't that good, I'm going to make him my user. And when you move him over to middle linebacker, he actually becomes an 84. So to me, it's a no-brainer to choose him in round 9. And we honestly shouldn't have to add another linebacker to this defense because Northwestern already had 2 solid starters. Now that we've made it to round 10, we've hit the midway point, and Malachi Corley's our first player. So it's going to be hard to pass on the guy from Kentucky that's really underrated, but I'll at least see what our other options are, and Brady Cook could be big. We desperately need a quarterback at some point, but his throwing stats aren't the best, so I might hold out hoping we get even better, and the last player is Torrey Horton. I watched this guy single-handedly shred the Colorado defense when they played earlier this year, so it seems like I need to decide between him and Malachi Corley, and even though he's a bit slower, he has 91 catching and 87 in about everything else, while Malachi has 81 in all of those categories with the same amount of catching. I know for certain that I want to at least eliminate Brady Cook, but picking between these two was really tough, and I think I made the right decision. Torrey Horton's a bit taller, and size does matter, so I'm moving on to round 11, hoping I chose the right guy. And who is McCallan Castles? I've never heard of this guy before, but he has a neat name, and we do need a tight end, but there's got to be better options, and Cade Stover is one of them. Now, this last pick could be even better, so we have to unveil it first, but Oscar Cardenas looks like he's going to be a bit slower, and I'd love to pick up another non-power 5 receiver, but he only has 73 speed. When you compare that to Cade Stover, who is 81, that's a big difference, so I feel like this is one of our easier decisions, and I'm not taking a guy from Tennessee. I'd love to say that the offense is coming along nicely, but we still don't have a quarterback or a halfback, so if we have an opportunity to take one in the future, we probably need to. And Aiden White from NC State is super good, but so is Dwight McLaughlin. This round is good for us because we don't have a cornerback yet, and our final option is going to be 92 overall Quinion Mitchell. I've never heard of him before, but he plays for Toledo and has 96 in so many categories, which is going to make it hard to choose an 89 overall, even though this one plays in the SEC. And Aiden White's almost just as good, but he's a bit slower, so I'm going to go back and forth comparing these two to pick the best one, but I think I gotta lean on the guy that's just a tad bit better. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm picking somebody from the MAC, and our defense continues to improve more and more. We could really use a quarterback though, so I'm hoping for it in this round, and Malik Mustafa would be another great add to this team, but I feel like the offense has to get better, and Tyler Harrell might actually help. I know he's only an 82 overall, but he has 97 speed, so he's extremely quick, and the last of our 3 options is going to be TJ Tampa from Iowa State. I know that we just picked up a corner, but we could still use a couple more, and he's the best player on the Cyclones roster, so I know for a fact at least that we can eliminate Malik Mustafa, but now I have to decide if we want a 97 speed slot receiver, or if we want our second cornerback to be an 88 overall. This is a tough decision here in round 13, but they say that defense wins championships, so I gotta go with the guy that makes us even better on that side of the ball, and I'm sure with 6 player rounds remaining, we'll get another receiver, but Fatal Diggs is not that for us, and Dylan Edwards is only an 82. If the roster creators gave him more than 91 speed, I might have taken him, so I'll probably have to pass on him, and the last one available is an 80 overall linebacker. CJ Gotez has 64 speed, so this has to be a joke, and this entire round stinks, but there's no way I'm taking the Wisconsin player. Fatal Diggs is a defensive lineman, and even he's quicker, so if I choose him, I could complete our front 3, and that's what I'm gonna do. This team has to make the 12-team playoffs since him in the first place, so that's why I focus so heavily on this defensive line, and I'm hoping it pays off, but our offense still needs help, and Jashawn Jones is exactly what we need. Okay, maybe he's not because he has 76 speed as a wide receiver, and that overall was very misleading. The next one is Lawrence Arnold, and at an 81, that's not a big improvement with Amarian Brown as the final slot. Even though he's only an 81, 87 speed's a lot better than 76, so before I even look at Amarian Brown's stats, I'm gonna eliminate Jashawn Jones, because I know Brown is also pretty quick, and he has 94 speed. Now his catching and route running stats are kinda rough, especially compared to Lawrence Arnold, who has a lot better in that category, but speed is everything, especially in the slot, so I'm choosing Amarian Brown. I'm very happy with how our wide receiver room has turned out, but we still don't have a quarterback to throw them the ball, and we only have 4 more rounds of players, so we might be in trouble, but you've got to be kidding me. I know we need a quarterback, but there's no way I'm gonna draft Iowa's, and please tell me this round is full of them. No, it's not. It's Eli Cox instead. I'm happy to see the Kentucky player, but I'm not gonna be able to take him or Andrew Ram, because even though this guy has a cool name and he's an 88 overall, he isn't capable of throwing the ball, and neither is Eli Cox. This literally hurts my soul to pick Cade McNamara, but we don't have a choice, and to make matters worse, he only has 60 speed. This is definitely karma for all the Iowa jokes I've made over the past year, and you know exactly what I'm rooting for in these final few rounds. Jonathan Brooks would be good because we need a halfback, and there's Frank Gore Jr., so I'm excited we finally have options at that position, including CJ Donaldson. It's going to be hard to pick between these three, but Donaldson only has 85 speed, so I might go purely based on that, and Jonathan Brooks has 87, but Frank Gore's son, Frank Gore Jr., has 90, so I think we're going to pick up another player from a tiny school, and he's going to have to carry quite the load on offense for us. We also selected an air raid playbook, so we'll probably have to change that in the final round, but never mind. We have been blessed with Jaden Daniels as one of our options, and to be honest, I don't even care who these other two guys are, but Grayson McCall's pretty good too. Maybe there was a full quarterback round in this draft, and Jordan Travis is even in it, so thank goodness I'm not going to have to use Cade McNamara, and all three of these guys have pretty similar stats, so like I normally do, I'm going to pick purely based on speed, and Grayson McCall has 80 while Jaden Daniels has 82, but neither of them come close to Jordan Travis's 87, and he's also the highest overall one on an undefeated team, so this is the right choice. The offense is looking a lot better now, and we have one final player round before the coaches come up again, so our first player is going to be another great halfback. I might have to go ahead and take Judkins, but I'm also seeing Braylon Trice, and these two 98s are the highest we've ever had, and we're getting a third in Kalen King. This final round did not disappoint, and with 92 break tackle and trucking, Judkins would be amazing, but right now we have an air raid offense, so I have to look at our defensive options, and Braylon Trice is good, but Kalen King is even better. Our defensive line is already complete while we could still use another corner, so as much as I'd love to make our offense better or add Braylon Trice, we need to make the right decision, and Kalen King has to be it. To be completely honest, this team turned out way better than I thought it would, and it's all because of those late round picks that we got to make, so we're very fortunate to have them, but we never had a chance to improve our special teams, and for the final round we can change our head coach one more time with Mark Stoops being an option, but I don't see us changing because I like the playbooks we got, except Nick Saban is here. We have an opportunity to have the GOAT coach this team or Chip Kelly, so obviously the only one I'm even considering is Nick Saban, but I think we'd do better with an air raid offense and a 3-3-5, so we're just going to pass on all three of them. Now I've gone ahead and put this team in dynasty mode, and the goal was to have a 90 overall roster or higher, so I'm very happy to say it came in at a 93 overall, and now we just have to hope that we make the 12-team playoffs by simming to the end of the year. We ended up beating Duke in our first game, and then against UTEP I'm expecting us to win again, so Sacred Heart should be a freebie since they're an FCS school, but Penn State is very tough. They're ranked number 7 and we still win. I knew this roster was good, but I didn't think we were going to take down the Nittany Lions, and on the road at Wisconsin they're ranked and we lose by 1. That's tough, but 12 teams make the playoffs and we only have 1 loss, so we just have to make sure that we beat Iowa, and they only scored 13. Now it would be devastating to lose at Nebraska, but we blew them out, and now we're getting a much needed bye week because next up we're playing at the Big House and we actually took down Michigan. I was not expecting that result, but we're probably going to go 11-1 because our final matchup is against the Fighting Illini and we somehow lost. It's time to see where we're ranked, and we just missed out on the Big Ten championship, but we're sitting at number 11. In the playoff poll, we're sitting at number 10, so we should be a playoff lock, but apparently we didn't have anybody in the Heisman race, and I'm just glad that we're sitting here at number 10. Jordan Travis almost had more passing yards than Michael Penix, and he only threw 3 interceptions the entire year, while Frank Gore Jr. rushed for over 700 yards, and receiving-wise, Torrey Horton outperformed everybody by a large margin. It's time to see if we're good enough to beat draft champions, and our first game is against the Sooners. They're coming off of a loss in the Big 12 championship, so I'm hoping that we're able to go out and give them another one, and I just see a wide open Torrey Horton already. To be honest, I think our offense is going to be incredibly difficult to stop because I can just roll out and find Cade Stover, who is going to make that defensive back look silly, and he's able to fight his way to about the red zone. We can also go with the option run, and Jordan Travis should have made it in, but our right tackle couldn't hold his block, so it is 3rd and goal already, and we're going to have to find our running back in the end zone. That is a school record for Jordan Travis at Northwestern, and our defense seems like it's going to be tough to score on. I really focus on drafting those types of players, so I'm expecting them to do well. This is a 50-50 ball that is going to be caught or knocked away. For a split second there, I thought they were going to come down with the football, but we have it back, and Jordan Travis has yet to throw an incompletion. We should have another big gain here, but it's an inaccurate throw, and of course it's picked off by Gentry Williams. We just need to knock him out of bounds, and I should have never jinxed us by saying he hadn't thrown an incompletion yet because Oklahoma's about to score, and I just have to hope for the best on this 3rd and 5 where they go with the halfback screen. Mitchell makes the tackle. Please, there we go. I'd much rather them get a field goal instead of a touchdown, and if we could end the first half scoring again, that would be perfect. On 2nd and 9, they're sending a little bit of a blitz, but I know that Amarian Brown's going to get open, and from there it shouldn't be too hard to bust it into the end zone. Now again, we have allowed them to get into field goal range, but we need to stop them on 3rd down, and that needs to be picked. I usered this perfectly with Aaron Casey, but he couldn't hold on to the football, and assuming their kicker has the leg for it, it's going to be a 1-possession game, but that is wide left. We are so lucky right now, and to be honest, it shouldn't be too difficult to get into field goal range, so we can go up by even more. Cade Stover is going to get us to about about the 30. And to finish this drive off, I'm looking in Amarian Brown's direction, who is going to get naked. It is 20-3, and the refs are trying to take away our touchdown, but it was the most obvious catch in the world, so we're going to keep our lead going into the half, and we've done a decent job of maintaining it here in the third quarter as Oklahoma tries to pull off a comeback. We keep getting them to third and longs, and on this third and long, there's really not much they can take. They might get in the field goal range, but that's going to be a very long attempt, so they have no choice but to go for it, and they're hitting us with a halfback screen, and our defensive tackle got out to it. I feel like I drafted a really solid group of guys as we're going to win, and if we can beat Oklahoma by this much, we should be able to compete with every team remaining. We've just dominated them the entire game, and this touchdown's going to put us up by 25, so we have made it to the quarterfinals, and I think we're going to be stuck facing off against Texas. As for the other 3 opening round matchups, North Carolina and Florida State made it to triple overtime where they're not going to get this 2-point conversion, but the Seminoles are stuck on a 4th and 9, so they have to convert here, and they are not going to make it. Drake May in the 5 seed survives, and I wasn't expecting either of these 2 teams to make it, but Wisconsin was one of the 2 teams to beat us, so I'm happy that the Gators were able to take them down and knock them out. The last opening round game is an SEC clash, and Ole Miss could win it with 1 first down as Jackson Dart is going to keep it and fight for the extra yard. With that one play, he just put out the Bulldogs, and I'm ready for the quarterfinals against the Longhorns. They're a 2 seed with their only loss coming to UCF, but on paper we match up with them really well, so I feel like we can take them down, and it would be amazing if we could force a 3 and out on Quinn Ewers, which we can. I don't know what he was doing on this play, but it clearly did not work at all, and as long as we can score at least 3 points on this first drive, I'll be happy. It looks like they're going with a lot of man-to-man coverage, which Torrey Horton is going to eat alive all day, and once we get inside the 5, our best move is just to run it with Frank Gore Jr. On this 3rd and inches, I did run commit, which was probably the wrong decision. Somehow no one got in though, and Xavier Worthy makes the catch, plus he swerves out of there. Okay, we have got to catch him before he takes it to the crib. That was my mistake for being way too aggressive. I sent another blitz though. I have not learned a lesson, and we get the sack plus force a fumble. We didn't pick it up though. They're going to still stumble, but with all of that chaos, they're still going to get a field goal. And I feel like we haven't attempted a deep shot yet, but I really want to try it. Jordan Travis is going to throw this one up, and we're going to come down with it with Franklin. That is the perfect ending to the first quarter, and I cannot believe Troy Franklin brought this one in, but that was a must catch. Our offense is so solid, and they're going with man-to-man coverage here, so they're not going to keep up with Amarian Brown. And I told you all that investing in our defense was going to be worth it in the end. We could have added a couple better offensive studs to this team, but we're already good enough as we're about to go up 21-3, and even on Heisman, we are doing well. I saw Xavier Worthy burned us deep over there, so I had to cover it, and of course, they're going to get a big gain now. I shouldn't have been acting like it was already over because it looks like they're about to score a touchdown as that throw gets them to the 1, and all I can really do in this situation is try and run commit, which has gotten them to a 3rd and goal that they might actually not pick up. We just need to force the ball out, and they don't want the field goal. They're going with the run, and they get in. It feels like all of that effort on our part was just for nothing, but we could still get points before the half, and if they're not going to guard our running backs, I'm just going to hit it to Cam Porter. I'm going for the touchdown to end the half. There's still about 30 seconds left, and Jordan Travis is used to running an air raid offense, so it's no surprise that we're flying down the field. This is going to be a tight window to get the first down though, and it's 4th and inches, but I am not taking my points. I want more, and that is what we should get on this slant to Amarian Brown. He was so close to getting in, but he was marked short, and Jordan Travis needs to do it himself, but the Texas defense stepped up there, and if we're in the process of choking, that would be extremely embarrassing as that throw was off the marks and Cade Stover still catches it. With a weaker offensive line, we haven't been able to run the ball as well, but we can still pass it, and this seems like it would be 4 down territory for the Longhorns. If we could ever make a tackle on Jonathan Brooks, I should have picked him. Don't get me wrong, Frank Gore Jr.'s been great, but he's the only thing keeping Texas in it, and as time ticks down here in the 3rd quarter, they have to score a touchdown, but there's no one on that side of the field. We really shouldn't have given up points there, and then the Longhorns would force us to a 3 and out, so we have to punt it back to them, and that ball is just going to bounce perfectly. It might actually stop inside the 2-yard line. I'm going to do my best to force a safety, but Jonathan Brooks is just so much stronger, so they have a little bit of breathing room now, and we just want to stop them from getting a first down. If they're able to, that would really keep this drive's hopes alive, but we get a sack instead, and they have no choice but to punt it. We're also going to get amazing field positioning, and Amarian Brown could get a return here with his 94 speed if he could have gotten the edge a little bit quicker, but at least we've gotten it to a point where we should be able to comfortably seal our win. All we have to do is finish off this one final drive, and that's what's happening. It's kind of weird seeing Northwestern have this much success, but we've earned our spot in the semifinals, and we'll play the winner of this one for a spot in the championship. Unfortunately for us, the higher seed Penn State's going to win with this kick, and on the other side of the bracket, Washington's the 1 seed, but they still found themselves in a very tight battle with the Gators that in the end, they're able to seal and only win by 7 points. For the final spot in the semifinals, it's between these two, and somehow USC's defense only gave up 14 points to North Carolina and Drake May, so these are the final 4 teams in the first ever college football draft champions. I'm kind of confident going into this one against Penn State. State because we're facing a young quarterback in Drew Aller, and even though they have a good defense, we have those same two players on our team, but our kicker can't make it from here, so we have to go for it on an early 4th and 7, and I see the flat open to Frank Gore Jr. It's pretty rare to see a running back catch it with one hand like that, but he just made an excellent play, and it should result in a touchdown, but the Penn State defense is starting to hold strong on the goal line, so Jordan Travis is going to have to make a play, and he can't. I do not like taking a field goal this early in the game, especially when we could have had a touchdown. We were on the 1-yard line, but we're still going to get a stop, so I could see this being a defensive battle, which means this return from Amarian Brown could be massive for us. He's going to get it all the way past midfield and get caught at the 40, so our field positioning is good, and I just got to get the ball out. We have to take advantage of these opportunities, and I see on the right side of the field in the cover 2 a wide open Torrey Horton who jukes his way in, so that is a huge play from our best receiver, but Penn State's on pace to get at least a field goal on this drive, and they're going to Nick Singleton who drops it, so they have to take a field goal, and that'll get it back within 6 because unfortunately we missed the extra point. They've gotten us to a long 3rd and 19, but again they ran like a cover 2, and Torrey Horton just found the open space in the defense. He is single-handedly keeping us in the lead, and we're mixing in a little bit of play action. I'm gonna roll out with Jordan Travis, and Amarian Brown is going to be wide open in the end zone. We are confusing this Penn State defense, and they went with a run on 3rd down, so we have forced yet another stop, and I feel like we've been in control of all of these draft champions games so far. I'm going over the top to Cade Stover now, and he catches it inside the 5. We are simply just playing better football than all of our opponents, and I knew stopping Drew Aller wouldn't be too difficult, but I wasn't expecting us to have this much success in the game. They weren't even able to pick up that 3rd down because this late hit just forced the ball out, and I might as well try to get disrespectful by throwing up a bomb against Kalen King. We're going to see who comes down with it, and we lost that battle. Our version of Kalen King has still done good, but that was definitely disappointing to give it up. We just need to hold them on 3rd down, and going into the half, it is 23-3. I really don't see the Nittany Lions coming back from this one because their offense is just too one-dimensional, and we're getting the sack with Chop Robinson. They would eventually get it down to about the 10-yard line, but after taking a holding penalty and a sack, it's on a 3rd and 26 that they're not going to pick up, and I find it so funny that they're taking a field goal. They'd be down by 3 possessions either way, so that makes 0 sense, and it's already over, but we might as well seal it with one more touchdown. We've made it to the national championship, and our opponent will be one of these 2 teams. It ended up going to overtime, and if Washington doesn't pick up this 4th and 14, it's all over, so Caleb Williams has taken down the Huskies, and stopping him in the national championship could be interesting. It won't be easy as their only loss was to Washington the first time they played, and they've clearly gotten better since then, while also getting home field advantage for the championship. I know it's not in the Coliseum, but the Rose Bowl is not that far from it, and I need to remember to feed Cade Stover because he is a beast at tight end as this ball's going to go to him, and he comes down with it with 3 people on him. He's our biggest receiver, but I wasn't expecting him to make this catch, and hopefully that's a good sign for what's going to come in this championship as we are already scoring a touchdown. USC would return our kickoff for one themselves though, so it is now 7-6, and we need to step up to make a play to Troy Franklin, and I could see this one turning into a back and forth shootout as they are not going to stay on Cade Stover. He just ran right by number 4, and that's going to go to the 2. USC really doesn't have a defense, which is good news for us, but we're also going to need to get a stop on Caleb Williams, and I feel like it won't be easy. They've gotten it to a 3rd and 7 where we need to get the interception, and we don't. Luckily for us, I don't think their kicker has the leg to hit from here, and it's wide right. So besides the kick return for a touchdown, everything's gone our way so far, and look at Torrey Horton just running right by their defense again. Pretty much every receiver on this team has already done it. They cannot stop us at all, and it's not even the end of the first quarter yet, and Jordan Travis has thrown for over 200 yards. Also, Frank Gore Jr.'s catching ability has been very surprising because you wouldn't expect a running back to pull off the stuff that he does, but they're not getting this 3rd and 13, and I think we've gotten the perfect start. However, with a couple minutes left in the second quarter, they're about to get it back within a possession, and we need to stop the run with Woodson, but Caleb Williams faked us out. USC's defense is on the field, which is scary for them as they've given up another big play to Torrey Horton, and I can't believe he just dusted number 17 with ease. I don't know how they expect poor Caleb Williams to keep up with our offense, but that should have been picked. I thought we did it, and we were literally just a split second too late. 3rd and inches, you have to expect the run, which we called, and you best believe we're going to try to put up even more points. I'd like to go into the half up by 3 possessions, so we're going to throw up some 50-50 balls, but you know what? Maybe it's best if we just run out the rest of the clock instead and avoid some turnovers. We're still going to have a 15-point lead, which is amazing, and we've done a pretty good job of holding Caleb Williams. They're on another 3rd down where he throws it off of his back foot, and that's got to be picked by Quinion Mitchell. We still got the ball back, so it's going to work out for us, and you know what? We might have Amarian Brown deep. He is the faster receiver in this situation, and he is broken free, which is going to put us up 3 possessions. I built this team on speed and not the best player available, which was the right decision for our roster. We just need to hold Caleb Williams. There's no way that he's about to break free. To be honest, I was just confused at which player I was clicking onto, but he should not have slid here because he had a an open lane for the touchdown, and he just passed it up. Now we are going to get an interception with Woodson. That is amazing. Please just break free. In the end, we just controlled the rest of the half, and even Cade McNamara is in for us. So we've officially sealed it and won draft champions for the first time in college football. This idea was a lot of fun for me to put together and build out. So if you want to see it with different restrictions or certain conferences, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video of me building a team, I know you're going to enjoy this one even more.